And I think that's so critical for this generation that they can walk away from even graduating high school or college and be at peace to know I'm on God's path to purpose. I don't have to have it all figured out yet.
Because if you don't know what your real purpose is and what you're doing and why you're doing it, you crash and burn.
But that's why we do what we do, to reach the next generation, to help them find purpose, to combat, to overcome purposelessness, to overcome depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation, and no hope and all that stuff. That's why we do it. Welcome to the Purpose Experience podcast. I'm your host, Tim Weissenen, and today I have a very special guest, one of my friends, a mentor to me, one of the wisest men I know, who's had to put up with me for many, many years. Let's welcome to the show, Pastor Jeff Krall.
Good to be here.
How you doing, man?
Good.
Well, we've been talking about this for a while, and having you come on the show, and it's like not easy to get you to say yes, because you're like, I don't know what I'm going to say, but this man's got some serious wisdom, so I wanted to have him on. So, Jeff, I really do, value and who you are. So I want to kind of give people a little bit of a snapshot of who you are. And we'll get into this episode because there's something about high school seniors that you and I are involved in together,
Right.
And the power of the message of purpose, how it's transforming lives. And I want to focus on that today. But first, I want people to know who you are and let people just kind of get a little snapshot of Jeff Krall. So how many years have you been in ministry?
About 46, I think.
46 years.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Help me with the numbers. I went in the ministry in 85.
So 15, 26,
Is that 40?
41?
41 years. Yeah. I've known the Lord 46 years.
46 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
in what context have you been in ministry?
Well, when I first came to Christ, went to a local church. It was an Assembly of God church, and was involved in a youth group, every area of leadership you can think about. I was in Sunday school director. I was all those things.
You got put in every position.
Drove the bus, everything. In fact, most of my gray hair comes from those times. But I really felt a call of God in my life, and my pastors suggested I pursue the ministry, so I did. Became the youth pastor, and then through a series of events, unique events, I became the pastor, and we'll share that maybe on another episode.
So you go to become a youth pastor a church, an Assembly of God church for many years, and after a season that changed, the direction of your ministry, now you find yourself doing what?
Now teaching apologetics and Bible at a Christian school.
Wow.
Which was never in the plan.
Never. Yep.
But I've really fallen in love with it. I didn't know I like young people as much as I do.
Full circle, right? You start off in youth ministry, and now after all these years, 41 years, or probably how many years you've been doing this now in Bible class?
This next year will be my 9th year doing it now.
It's been 9 years?
Yeah, this next year is 9, I think. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I know the kind of impact that you've had, being that I've been involved with the school as well as a counselor and knowing a lot of the families, and these high school seniors or the juniors and seniors who go through apologetics, go through all this deeper Bible study stuff with you. It's been transformational from what I've heard. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show, because you work with ministry and families for 41 years now. And you've understood all the context of it, the power of working with young people, families, parents, all that stuff. And so today I wanted to focus on this age group of high school, because here it is. Most of the kids don't even know. And those you watching, not only has he been a pastor, but he's written 9 books. Okay. All kinds of content on these 9 books. And with that wisdom, you've explored every area of ministry. But here it is, you're focused on seniors and juniors, primarily in high school. So we've had the privilege of the last 3 years together, walking through purpose with them. So those who've been watching me for a while, you know that we have the resource called the Purpose Experience. That's why we named the podcast. And it's, for those who haven't seen it, it's a book, it's a workbook, and a video series that walks you through biblical purpose. the spiritual and the practical. Like, what does it look like to know what biblical purpose is spiritually, but then how do we live it out practically in everyday life? That's what we've been taking these kids on a journey through this process. So I wanted to kind of just have a time to talk with you as a Bible teacher,
Right.
as someone who's written 9 books and someone who's worked with families for a long time. I think it's really important to just share from your perspective what's been some of the power behind the purpose experience in the Christian classroom, the academic classroom. What's been your experience with the purpose experience?
Well, first of all, it's been like a wow moment in the sense of how I wish I had this material when I was a young person. I've gone through material similar to this. I've talked with before. As a pastor, there's a national organization that helps coach pastors.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the privilege of going through that process. And much of the process is your purpose experience.
Wow.
And so I've had it at the pastoral level. This national organization takes individual pastors to understand their purpose, and almost identical to some of the wisdom that you have. And so I go, wow, this is similar to what I went through with pastors. This organization would also, after the pastor would go through it, they would try to take the entire congregation as a church so that the individual church's identity could go through the process. So my first experience watching you was, wow, these kids don't know how blessed they are to have this material. You and I both know it's a love-hate situation with young people.
Yeah.
Because they're in school. They don't want to be in school.
Correct.
It's towards the end of the year. So they call it what, senioritis or whatever?
Yeah, but at least we get them in the third quarter.
Yeah, we get them in the third quarter.
So we take them through basically a 9-week program for the third quarter, basically like mid-January till about mid-March. And we walk through the 10 sessions during the 9-week time. And we read the workbook, we watch the video and have discussion. That's been our framework, right? And so when you're watching them, and I think it's pretty cool that you said about what you went through with the pastors and how there's nothing new under the sun. See, I didn't know anything about that, but is the Holy Spirit saying there's principles that I've created that need to be passed on to this next generation. And I believe that this just in a fresh way, in a more youthful way, and in their context they can understand, and that it is a powerful process. Well,
I talked to you about most Christians understand or know about the purpose-driven life from Rick Warren.
Right.
I think he sold 20 million copies. Great book. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book. It's got great insight, all that good stuff. But I told you, I felt like, in fact, one year we used to do, 1 or 2 years we did.
You told me you did Rick Warren's Purpose-Driven Life for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
Well.
How was it?
Well, sometimes working with young people, they check out, you know.
And they're a little critical.
Just a little bit. And what I found with your material is there's just a freshness with it. It's more geared towards their age and their understanding. And then your personal life story, I think, dovetails into the material really well. And so I think there's a greater receptivity to the purpose. And there are some things in your material that I think go beyond what Rick Warren was trying to do as well. So that's why.
So after we did it 1 year, what did you say to me? We did it because you did Rick Warren's for 2 years, then you did ours for that 10 weeks or 9 weeks. And then what did you say to me after that?
Well, I said, this is so much better than what we were doing. Because if you just hand the kids the purpose-driven life from Warren, it's like another book.
Yeah.
Your material, and Rick Warren has a video too.
And he has videos, but what was it about his videos?
Well, his videos are more just him kind of just maybe lecturing. Well, what I like about your videos is there's real life stories and snippets and, well, I guess call it B-roll.
B-roll. Graphics popping in and out.
And you share your life experience. You've got your kids in there and stuff.
I know.
You've got trips that you've been on and stuff. So it's just more visually alive. Mm-hmm. And I think it connects more. So that's why
which was
I
a huge thing when he said to me. I'm like, wow. So you like, we're doing the purpose experience now.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, praise the Lord.
Yeah.
And it's been really awesome to work with you on it and to see what happens in the class. And so when you look at the whole overall process, what are some of the things that you kind of seen in the classroom when kids go through the process? 'Cause there are sometimes kids check out too.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, hey, if another Christian school does this, kids are never going to complain or check out.
Yeah.
That's just part of the nature. It's supposed to push against them a little bit.
That's
and
right.
sometimes they might check out because it's almost like, this is too hard to figure out. I don't want to have to look at my future yet. I'm going to shut down.
That's
but
correct.
other times you can see them. Have you noticed as well? They're wrestling with this content and they don't want to do it yet. They know they need to. And it's almost like it's holding up a mirror to them and going, hey, you got to take a look at this area of your life because you're getting ready to go into the real world and you have to know why you exist.
That's right.
So talk a little bit about the process, what you've seen take place.
Yeah, I like how you described it. It's exactly right. Because once again, they're like, we're giving them answers to questions they're not asking.
Yeah, it's well said.
And they don't care to ask those questions at this time. They're like, hey, can I go home? Can I sleep more? You know,
like, no, I don't want to hear about this. This is too hard to answer right now.
Right. And so, but one of the things I think, I was thinking about it the other day, which I don't know if you realize it, is because you coach soccer.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times in the classroom where the kids are kind of resistant and like, I don't, whatever like that, your coach comes out. And
really, how so?
Well, a coach has a way, someone once said a mentor is really a tormentor. And there are times
that's really true in coaching soccer.
When
it comes to fitness and help people push through their limiting beliefs.
Well, that's what I think they don't appreciate till after the process is over. Is you push them, you go, come on now. One of my favorite things you do is, and I hope you can share a little bit about it, is the well analogy.
Yeah.
To me, every Christian needs someone in their life who understands the well analogy. So could you just explain a little bit about what that is?
Yeah. So we start off the first session, we talk about that scripture in Proverbs that says, a man's purpose is like a deep well and a man of wisdom draws it out. And the illustration of the old wells with the big rope, long rope, and the bucket and the handle, you crank it down and the bucket goes deep down inside the well where it's dark, you can't see anything. And there's water down there, but you can't see it. But it's not until you go and take the bucket and crank it down and get it down there that when you crank it back up, there's water. So it's kind of like there's purposes hidden inside young people that it's like you can't see it. It's like a deep, dark well, but they're in there because God created you with them. And it's this process is like the well that we draw it out through the questions we ask, through the process, through pushing against challenge them like a coach. Like, hey, come on, you got to lean into this. And even though I know God's made me that way because I enjoy, you've seen it, I enjoy the awkward moments.
Yeah.
I have the tough conversations with every conversation you can have with the teen boys.
Absolutely.
I have those and I actually enjoy it because I know it's needed. So when I push against them and it's like, hey, I'm pushing against some of your limiting beliefs, some of the areas where the Holy Spirit's trying to get into. And you're like,
yeah,
God, you can't go in that area of my heart. That's that area of brokenness I don't want to touch. Right. But the questions of the process is say, no, let's break through that area because you need freedom to step in a purpose. And so just getting them to wrestle with the questions, to wrestle with the process is the well and the bucket going deep down to pull out the purpose of God that's inside them they've never seen before.
Yeah. And what I've seen is, what questions to ask that they would not know to ask because you can see, down in there, because they just don't have the life experience yet. So they don't know what questions to be asking.
Yeah.
But as someone who's older, more mature, you can see potential there.
Yeah.
And so you drop the bucket and you ask questions, and they'll be puzzled sometimes. Well, what are you asking me this question for? What does this mean?
Yeah. And it's like, why are you asking me this question? Like, would you guys just stop? If you only knew where we're going with this, you would be quiet and listen. But do you think that, when you watch this overall process, it goes through 10 weeks and goes through all the spiritual stuff, right? The foundation of it, identity, freedom, and all that stuff. And then it goes to the purpose and the practical questions and vision. Then we get to the purpose statement at the end. What do you see start happening to some of the scholars, some of the students, like towards the end? Yeah. Like you almost like there's a lot of resistance, even though they're liking up front, the identity and who you're becoming, all that stuff. But when you get towards the end, it's like, I don't want to say, I want you to put in your words, what do you see starting to happen when they get to the practical purpose stuff and they go through this towards the end?
Yeah. Part of the resistance is it could feel like just another class that they're in, because it's in a school setting, and they're going, oh, this is just more work, more stuff like that. But gradually you chip away at that and you say, no, this is about you. This is about your future. And the more they attach, oh, this is about me. This isn't just
this is not just another assignment. This is about me.
That's not an assignment. But, you have to regularly remind them of this. It's like layers of an onion. You have to keep peeling because there's ongoing resistance. One of the things—
it's like remind them to do their chores.
Well, yeah. And
they need to do them and they're helpful. They sometimes don't want to do it. But when they do it, they're like, so glad they're out of the way.
And when you're younger and their brains are still developing, they need that reminding, right? But gradually, once they go, oh, he's here helping me. This is about my future. Then they start going, oh. And something that I notice as a pastor, you get someone on Sunday morning for an hour, 2 hours, whatever, and then they're out the door. But one of the things about this 9-10 week process is you're marinating them in this introspection of ask these deep questions, where you're at. So towards the end, they start going, oh, I kind of see how this fits or what this means.
Oh, this makes sense now.
Right. Now, they're also a young person and they're still developing. So different ones are absorbing it at different levels.
Right.
Like when adults go through this material, they have the same challenge because no one's asked them that. No one's dropped the bucket in their well.
Right.
And so that's why I'm so encouraged that I think the purpose experience works well anywhere. Now we're talking at the high school level.
Right.
But I'm excited that with college age kids, this will be awesome. But I also think this is awesome if you took some parents through it, because some parents are just busy paying bills and trying to keep the lights on, that they don't do much inner life work is what we call it. I have a book called The Inner Journey.
Right.
And most of us are just doing life, paying bills, trying to keep our jobs, all external, natural, physical things. And this process is about doing the inner life work. What are you called to? What's your purpose? What's your core values? What angers you? What's your why am I here moment?
Right. And that's what we talk a lot about. Like, is a lot of the seniors we mentor, it's like they're getting ready to go into college or in the real world, get a job, whatever. And we're like, but why are you going to do that? Yeah. Why do you want to go take on debt and school loans? Or why do you want to pursue that career? Like, obviously we talk about the essence of purpose is the reason why you exist. We were created to solve problems on this earth. And not just what are you called to do, but why are you called to do it? Why did God create you? And getting them to wrestle that at any age, whether it's high school or parents or college, is essential to this walk on earth with Christ. And without Jesus, people will never find this purpose. Right. But even the ones that we know that are living for Christ, one of the biggest frustrations is when they don't know why they exist, what problem they're called to solve. And that's what they were walking these kids through. And like, I love what you said about they're marinated in it. Almost like you can run, but you can't hide. You have to keep showing up.
They have to show up.
They have to show up. And that could be a double-edged sword. But I think in this process, as long as whoever teaches it, if they get this material and do it themselves, right? They can do it all on their own. Any Christian school in America could take any of their kids through this without me or you being there. It's set up that way. But as long as they know on the front end that you're going to have resistance and that you want resistance, because that's where the Lord gets to push through and take them deeper and help them grow. Just like with breaking down muscle, without resistance, you don't break down muscle. Without breaking down muscle, you can't rebuild and become stronger. And so when I watch them go through this process and they have to be there each and every day, you can see the growth that starts to happen. But we help them experience, why do they exist? Why do you want to pursue that major? Why do you want to pursue that path? And sometimes, I love what you said also about some are more ready to receive it than others. Mm-hmm. Some are at different levels. And it's okay if some only get a little bit out of it, but they have a roadmap for later in life to make decisions and guide them. But the other ones are ready completely for it, and it helps shape their life and give them direction right now. It gives them a roadmap for right now.
Yeah,
and I think that's powerful.
Yeah, when I went through it, I was in my late 30s, almost 40, and I struggled.
Wow, that was a while ago.
Yeah. Thank you, Tim. And so I was struggling with it then. I was saying, what's this? I mean, how's this going to grow my church? All this kind of stuff. But one of and this is important because you hit on this, one of the core values of the organization I went through was to help pastors finish well.
That is so important.
Because think about it. Because if you don't know what your real purpose is and what you're doing and why you're doing it, you crash and burn. And that's why the statistics on ministry leaders crashing and burning is crazy. So knowing your why is one of the most important questions of our human existence. Knowing your why.
Yeah.
I heard one person, I don't know if it was John Maxwell or someone, said, the people who have the answers to the what, where, when, how questions will always work for the people who have the answers to the why questions.
Wow.
Let me say
that's
that.
Profound. Say that again.
Let me say it again. So the people who know the answers to the where, what, how, when, the tactical questions, will end up working or serving the people who have the answers to the why questions.
Wow.
And it's true.
Wow.
Like even a political, someone once said, Martin Luther King Jr. said, he didn't say, I have a strategic plan. He says, I have a dream.
I have a dream.
It answers the why of why we're here.
Why. We even talk about that story.
Yeah. And so I always say that when Christ is Lord, 10,000 lesser problems are solved. If you get your why and why I'm here, and why Christ is the number one purpose for my life, everything else just kind of lines up, and so much clutter and nonsense just isn't an issue. You still have problems, but knowing your why kind of gets you through the day when other people don't, and so you are constantly going, well, why do you want to be a firefighter? Why do you want to be a teacher?
Yeah.
Why? A couple of them said, I just want to make money.
I want to make money. Well, why? What's the purpose of the money?
Yeah.
What problem are you going to solve with that money?
Yeah. And so as humans, we're very natural first, right? The problems you initially need to solve. Well, I need money because I want a nice car, I want a nice house, all that kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. But their focus is short-sighted. And the good thing about Christ is he gives us an eternal purpose for the long haul, a purpose in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, 70s, you know what I'm saying? And having the why gives you the long game, which means you hit the right target at the end of life.
Yeah, which allows you to have hope and have resiliency. And perseverance when the difficult times come. Yeah. When you know that why, it'll help you push through past that. And I think that's why in the 20-somethings, I was reading a stat the other day. I think it was from the Department of Labor, Department of Labor of the U.S. government or something like that, was saying that the average person will have between 10 and 13 jobs in their career. And they say, depending on what study you look at, between 3 and 7 different careers in your life. But they said most people had 9 jobs from 18 to 36 years of age, the late millennials, if you will, but they've had about 9 different jobs in that 18-year period, and a lot of those are in their 20s. And so people jump from job to job, but if they understand the process of the purpose experience, they'll understand why God's led them those different jobs and how to navigate what he's saying for the next step, the next season. Right. because we talk about purpose as a process, not a one-time event. It's not about the one job. It's about the experience that God's leading you through to get to that place. And that's why I think it's so powerful for not only high school kids to understand now. So when they get to their 20s, they're prepared in advance for what's about to come. And they're not thrown off by it. They're not depressed over it. They actually like, wow, I'm excited about what God's doing. He shifted me. But it's also not for only the 20-somethings, but for the parents to know their why, to know the process so they can coach their kids. They can coach their graduating high school seniors into the next season. They can coach the college kids and the 20-somethings. Maybe they mentor in their college group or at their church or in their family for parents. So I think the whole process of knowing why is absolutely critical.
Yeah. If I can put my pastor hat on just for a
Yeah,
moment.
for sure.
Just for the audience that are listening, knowing your why is so important. But, in one of our classes, we have a slogan or a phrase that says, right believing involves right belonging. So if you're believing about things about Christ correctly, then you will belong to the right group of people.
That's so good.
And so I just want to encourage those who are listening, you can know your why, but don't be a lone ranger.
Right.
And be connected to a body of believers. If you haven't found a church yet, find a home group, find a group of believers that you hang with weekly that can encourage you and support you, because that will be very helpful. They'll speak common sense to you when you're not being when you're being, a knucklehead. And
that's so good though. I love it. Because in the purpose experience, we say right believing leads to right behavior.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you don't become saved based upon your behavior, but based upon what you believe.
That's right.
So I love that about right believing leads to right belonging.
Yeah.
And we all know the power of who you hang out with, right?
That's right.
Is so important.
You want to make sure your crew is going in the same direction towards Christ as you are.
Yeah. I think that's so good. I have a couple more questions before we wrap this up, Pastor Jeff. Anything else you can think of as far as like what you've seen take place with some of the young people or things they've said to you, or the kind of like peace they get or the clarity they get just in general going through this process, or anything that, we talked a lot about purpose and why and the process, but anything specifically you kind of witnessed with some of the young people that you'd want to share about for anyone that would be watching, saying maybe, hey, I want to get my school to go through it, or I want my college group to go through it. Just for this generation, walking through all the anxieties and all the stress and needing clarity. Is there anything you've seen specifically in the classroom from this?
Well, once again, your videos share your story so well, and because you've gone through some hardships and you're very candid to talk about those hardships.
Yeah, it's pretty authentic and raw.
It's one of the most authentic video series you'll ever see. It's so good because it addresses church hurt. It is so good. I can't tell you folks, when he shares how authentic he was about you being disillusioned with the church and stuff, because almost every human can identify with that.
Right.
And so you bring an authenticity, which makes them, okay, I'm going to listen to this guy, because you're not just Bible thumping up there, and it's so good. But I think it's the aha moment that they gradually come to towards the end, where they kind of go, I can kind of see, I do have a purpose. Oh, I can see we're suffering. And okay, I can see, so the bad thing that happened here with God, I can see how he could turn that around.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a perspective of God's sovereignty, then that's just a wasted, painful, miserable experience. But, the Lord can turn our ashes into beauty. And so, and you have
pain in your purpose.
Yeah. And you flesh that out. And so they see it firsthand. Carla's testimony is just,
my wife's testimony inside
powerful
about being adopted and
finding out late. Oh my goodness. And
identity of the whole story for girls is,
oh my goodness. And so that's why the process of watching your life story, I think you've earned the right to speak into their lives.
Which is so critical. Right. The old cliche, they don't care what you know until they know you care, and all that. But I think the authenticity and just talking about real life, we have to earn the right to speak in their life with authority, or else it's just noise. It's almost like it can come across as
The Peanuts, Charlie Brown.
yeah,
Yeah.
wah, 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 wah.
Wah.
No, it's true. Yeah, I love that you say that because you hope it come across that way, and that me, that when I go and preach places and speak to young people, like I'm just me, I'm raw, I'm
Yeah.
authentic and vulnerable, but I believe the Holy Spirit breathes upon that with humility, like water flows to the
Yeah.
lowest ground.
That's right.
And when you're authentic, like this generation, they want a leader that's real. They want someone who's been through something, but that can give them understanding about why they're going through what they're going through and how their experiences matter and how God can redeem the all things, right?
All things.
And Romans 8:28, how can he redeem all things together for the good? And that's what this process is about. How does the Holy Spirit lead you on a path to take every experience you've had and redeem all things? And I think that's where they get to the final point and they write their purpose statement. But I literally can see some kids like physically go, a sigh of relief. Have you seen that in the classroom?
Yeah.
And why do you think that is?
Well, it's something I'd like to just add for the other possible schools that are listening or whatever, is something our school does, which I really love, is all seniors are required to give an exit interview with the administration to talk about what's their overall experience at the school, what would they do differently. It's very constructive, it's very peer oriented. But also to explain, what are you going to do with your life in the next 5 years?
Yeah.
And so, so your time spending, 9 weeks with them, walking through and helping them discern what their purpose is and pulling that well down deep and asking the questions and such helps them formulate the actual statements that they're going to share with admin at the end of the year, which I would love to see every school in America prepare their seniors for, hey, what are you going to do for the next 5 years?
Yeah.
And to be able to articulate it.
And then when we came in, because they're like, oh, I got to do these extra interviews and all that. Now we come in almost like giving them some food for thought, not coming the hero, but go say, okay, we want to prepare you for that extra interview, but also we want you to walk in there, not just knowing, here's what the school meant to me, here's the strengths, here's the things to improve. What am I going to do in 5 years? But why? Why are you going to go do that thing in 5 years? What is God saying to you? And I think the power in that purpose, man, it just gives them hope.
That's right. Yeah, because when you get your why squared away, then you can run through a troop, leap over a wall. It's like,
and it's so needed, Pastor Jeff, because I look at this generation and what they walk through, and we see it in and out. This is not an episode to go through all the stuff. We know the stats, all the anxiety and depression, all the teen stats that go on. But that's why we do what we do, to reach the next generation, to help them find purpose, to combat, to overcome purposelessness, to overcome depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation and no hope and all that stuff. That's why we do it. But when we step into this process, we see the light bulbs come on, and we literally see people go, and I ask them, I say, why, what's a sigh for? And they go, I just feel peace. I feel relief. Well, why? And they're like, because I don't have to have it all figured out yet. And I think that's so critical for this generation, that they can walk away from even graduating high school or college and be at peace to know I'm on God's path to purpose. I don't have to have it all figured out yet. It's normal to not know what's next. And that brings hope. Yes, some get clarity in the next step, but some of them just to have hope to walk away from their Christian education, their high school experience, or walk away from a college group or a parent leading their kids or family through this, to be able to have this roadmap and be able to breathe a sigh of relief of peace, to know God's sovereignty is at work in my life. I don't have it all figured out yet, but I know the one who does. I'm going to follow his leading. I have my roadmap. I had my roadmap of what to follow and how to answer the questions and ask the questions to myself. It brings peace. And I've literally seen physiological sigh of relief going, and it's been powerful to see that with dozens of kids.
Yeah. I think it's important to kind of, talk about that, because in the purpose experience, it's not necessarily the case that everybody at the end of it knows exactly what they're doing and all that kind of stuff. But what you do provide is a set of tools connected to a set of questions, connected to the Word of God, so that you're right. They have okay, all right. I know I'm on the purpose process.
Yeah, I'm on the right path.
And
Yeah.
and I also know every human goes through this, so I'm not an oddball because
It's
remember,
normal.
we all think something wrong with me. I don't understand what I'm supposed to do.
Mm.
I mean, quite a few. I would say maybe 50% of them will go. They'll say, "I don't know what I want to be. I don't know what I want to do." And the purpose experience is the first time I think anybody presents a set of questions, drops the bucket down the well, and says, "Well." Uh, when you do find out what you're going to do, it's going to be because you ask these questions,
Yeah.
and these questions will give you the breadcrumbs to that ultimate purpose. And so I really think it's important people realize that you're giving them not just the perfect destination, but
Yeah.
you're giving them the tools that get them to the destination.
Absolutely. And I think we've taken over like 3 classes. We've probably had over 100,
Yeah,
maybe 120 high school seniors. We
Yeah.
walked through this process together,
Yeah.
and to see them say, I got peace, I got clarity. This helped me narrow down my focus. Other ones said, I had no clue, but now I have a general idea. Some said, I still don't know, but at least I know the roadmap to get there.
Yeah.
And it's not an end all, but it's getting them the tools to be able to walk down this path.
And they also know there's some adults in their lives that care about them reaching their goal.
And how important is that?
Yeah,
to have adults that are going to walk them through, and like, think about this for parents,
Oh my
right?
goodness.
Some people, maybe you're watching, you're a parent, you're going, man, I want to help my kids walk through purpose of my young adults, or they're stuck, or just want to give them a roadmap early.
Yeah.
They can walk through this process right in their home.
Yeah, and they can do it at home, but it's also, how sometimes your kids will listen to a teacher more than they'll listen to you.
Listen to someone else saying the same thing you're saying.
It's like, hey, Dad, they told me this. I've been telling you that for years. It's like.
Well, I want to end with one question, or one thing for you as we wrap this up, Jeff. What would you say to school administrators, pastors, like college pastors, youth pastors, even parents, just anyone that's in leadership that could access the purpose experience for, whether it's school setting, church setting, or home setting? What would you say to them about this process and why it would matter for them? Kind of like it's a big picture thought.
Right.
Is
Well, I think anybody who's in the business of maturing and discipling people, young people, know that you've got to get them to address a series of questions. And I guess there's other materials and such out there and stuff, but you've put together a good program that has good videos, good content, addresses, a wide gambit of every aspect on how you narrow down this thing of purpose. I think everybody needs to do it. Everybody's going to discover they've got to do it. So if you don't have the tools, you're providing tools.
Yeah.
And so take advantage of it.
That's the hope. Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thanks for your time, man. This has
Good to be
been
here.
great. Yeah, it's good to have you here
All right.
in the context of a friend and mentor to me,
Amen.
and someone I get to do this life with and this journey with. So I appreciate
Having fun.
you.
We enjoy
We
it.
have a lot of fun for sure
Yeah.
in class. Well, thank you guys for listening today for this episode of The Purpose Experience. We pray your hearts are encouraged and that you would go on your journey of purpose. So if you want to know more, you can go to peopleofpurpose.net. You can read about the resources there. Reach out to us, follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And we hope your hearts are encouraged as you walk down your journey of experiencing purpose for you and your family. Be blessed. See you soon.